The Avs' 5-game win streak comes to a close. They drop the second leg of a back-to-back to the Chicago Blackhawks 5-2, scoreless through the final 2 periods. All the action for them really happened inside the first. You definitely noted some fatigue kick in for this team, and it seemed like mental fatigue plagued them the most tonight. Let's get to some post-game questions so we can commiserate together.
Scale of 1 to 10, how tired are you of talking about Georgiev and goaltending?
Look, it's my job, and I love doing this job, so I'm not actually tired of talking about it. But I also feel for what the fan base must be experiencing right now. This was supposed to be a huge bounce-back game for Georgiev to sort of reclaim a little bit of that pull towards the starter's net. And I just don't feel that he did what he needed to do to take it from Justus Annunen. I don't hang this game entirely on Georgiev, but you look at the expected goals against, and there were more goals than were expected. It just means it's a goaltender that you hoped had a few more saves. I'm sure there are more Georgiev questions, so I'll pause on further analysis, but I will say it is frustrating from my standpoint to talk about it because I know it's frustrating you guys.
How are we feeling about Wood's play so far this season? Props for the effort, but a little concerned he's on the chopping block.
I've not liked the way that Miles Wood has come out the gate to start this year. In being separated from some of the players that we saw him perform well alongside, like Logan O'Connor and Ross Colton, I feel that his game has grown weaker. I worry if he is playing through any sort of injury or illness. That's purely speculation on my part, but he has just not quite looked like himself. He's sort of reverted into this less impactful player. You know, before at least you saw the speed upside and how that could be used to their advantage on entries, and it just feels like he's sort of been dragged down alongside the changing talent around him in the bottom six, and he's being reduced to more of a fourth-line player, and it's because of his performance. I'd like to see more from him. At this point, the amount of money he makes, the term on his contract, it doesn't make sense for a fourth-line role. I think that is something to keep an eye on throughout the course of the year. Hopefully his bodies get added back to the lineup. We see the bottom six round out to more like what we expected to see. Parker Kelly should be a fourth-line player. He's had to play up in the lineup as well. Haven't loved his game either. So I'm not going to put Miles Wood on the chopping block completely, but I do need to see a little bit of a turnaround and a little bit of a breakthrough in his production. I want to see him make more of an impact game by game.
They just weren't playing well all around. Can't blame everything on Georgiev, but does it seem like they play less confidently in front of him?
Here's what makes it tough to evaluate. Second leg of a back-to-back. I talk about mental fatigue at the top at the introduction, and that absolutely was a factor in this game. You know, it did feel to some extent like they were playing less confidently in front of him. For example, this is a top 5 power play unit entering this game, ranked number 3 in the league ahead of tonight. Can't convert on power play chances. You know, later in the game, second period, they had at least a couple to convert on. Obviously, the 5-on-3 in the first period they convert on, then they kind of stagnate after that. I'm looking at the top guys specifically, like, that just doesn't quite look like themselves. So I don't know if that's mental fatigue or in their heads from a confidence or lack of confidence perspective in terms of goaltending, just because that was not a great first period. You know, they end it down just a goal, which is a relief, but it didn't feel like it should have ended that way, if not for the McKinnon goal that was late. It didn't feel good, and part of it was you probably hoped for at least one more save from Georgiev out of that first period. That's personally how I evaluated it.
So there's more of a statement. Hard to win on a back-to-back when Ottawa game has 7 goals in the third period. Not putting blame on Georgie, we just need a healthy team back. Keep going until the trade deadline. Healthy team, getting back, staying on course.
It's tough. I key in on Georgiev in that comment, and it's because he is the guy with fresh legs, right? Coming in, he's actually the only one who should be well-rested and refreshed, perhaps a little out of practice because Annunen did get the 4 starts prior to it, so he's a bit out of rhythm in terms of goaltending, but it's true. Ottawa, you know, Chicago actually addressed this at their morning skate that they were hoping to capitalize on a fatigued Colorado team because of how late into the final minute that Ottawa game went. So there is absolutely truth in that being a factor in how the Avs started this game. I don't think they're making excuses. I think they find it to be unacceptable, but I think that you start to see how fatigued, not just in the second leg of a back-to-back, but a team where they lose a Ross Colton, and so everybody is absorbing more minutes. They have to essentially cut a line at that point because it's just not trusted enough on its own. That means more minutes for all of the top players that are already fatigued, only getting more fatigued. This is the difference maker then with such a depleted lineup and how it shows on the second leg of a back-to-back.
This one just says, well, time to pull up Capo. Your thoughts on Kakkonen or rolling with Georgie?
I want to see Kakkonen. It's maybe even less to do with Georgiev, though I will maintain that he did not do what he needed to do tonight to yank the starter's net back in his direction. This still feels like a wide open competition with Justus Annunen sort of in the lead, but they still need to sort out, one, who's their starter, but two, also who is solidly their backup. That's why with 3 goaltending options kind of wide open there, I want to see Kakkonen. He's still officially listed as part of the AHL roster doing the conditioning stint. He completed both games with against the Calgary Wranglers on the road with the Eagles while the Avs were on the road. But it looked like he did come to Ball Arena unofficially, just meeting the team, making some introductions, dropping some gear off. So I do imagine that the time to see Kaapo Kakkonen is soon.
All right, this is the last one. We're ending it on a light note. From Adrian, I want to know what Meghan Angley is dressing up as for Halloween.
So I dressed up as Princess Jasmine for an early costume celebration, but I actually have a Tate McRae costume planned for my pop fans, and also she is a Calgary girl who enjoys hockey, so I really love her, and I will be trying to recreate a Tate look.